Hello everyone, how's it going? So the penultimate episode of The Boys is here, and honestly, I'm on the fence when it comes to this. Yes, it pushes the story forward for a finale that we honestly can all predict what's going to happen just on this episode alone, but the writing is still very subpar, very predictable, but so they pick up right after the V1 has been injected into Homelander. He's supercharged, they're all in hiding, and Homelander takes over the White House. He's literally sitting at the president's desk. He kills the president because he finds out that he's not a true believer. He starts enacting all these crazy plans, ban abortion, ban nut milk. Basically, he's just become a tyrant. He uses Ashley's power and forces her to read the president's mind, finds out that he thinks he's psychotic, and then murders him right there. At that point, Ashley takes over as president. She's at first very blindsided. She's like, hey, I've gotten here finally, I'm the president of the United States. Her other half is trying to tell her that she's just another prisoner to Homelander. She needs to do something to fix it, but she's so terrified of dying to the point that her other half just abandons her. Not physically, but mentally. She just says, I'm just going to shut up, that's it. At first she's gleeful about this. She's like, yeah, I finally got rid of her, but then it dawns on her that she's truly alone because this person was the only one who actually knew her for who she was. I mean, down to anything, like she was the only person she could trust, and now she is truly alone. She has no one else. As for the boys, they've reached a point of no return. Starlight has abandoned the Starlighters, telling them that, hey, it's over. I don't know if she tells them that Homelander is basically immortal, but she just says it's over. They're not convinced. They still try to fight the fight, but Mother's Milk is not trying to push her at that point. As for the rest of the boys, Huey wants to give up, but then they decide out of nowhere they're going to try and replicate Soldier Boy's power onto Kimiko, and they say despite them taking over a decade to do it to Soldier Boy, they're gonna figure it out in a matter of hours because they have the notes for it. The writing is all over the place. They just have to do this because they've written themselves in the corner. The fact that they can replicate this power into Kimiko for some reason makes no sense, but again, the writers have written themselves into a corner, so they have to literally just throw a Hail Mary and hope that whatever they shoot to the audience will stick. So their next grandiose plan is Father. They're going to try and kidnap him in hopes of, I don't know, like, I've kind of just tuned out because their plan is all over the place. The writing is all over the place. It makes no sense. But they decide to go to the theater in order to kidnap Father, who's trying to convince various different church leaders to deem Homelander as the official god of America and the world. And they try to convince them using a new propaganda film where Jesus comes down and tells them that Homelander is the chosen one. He's everything. A lot of them aren't convinced. They're using psychics to pry into their minds, and those who aren't on board are executed, despite Allfather of all people saying that he can convert them, but Homelander isn't having it. He's basically scorched earth at this point. You're either with me or you're against me, and if you're against me, you die, no questions asked. As for Soldier Boy, he just acts like an idiot this episode. He comes to Homelander, he finds out he's building this huge park to honor himself with a giant statue. He's gonna have a segment of the park with celebrating Soldier Boy, and he's just not having this. Like, despite as much time they spent together, they still don't know each other. He flat out tells him that he only gave him the V1 because of Clara. You're telling this to your emotionally unstable son, who's now jolted up with V1. He's immortal, he's much more powerful, everything. And he's just saying, hey, I'm going away forever. You may be my son, but you're freaking crazy. I think the best line he could have said here is literally, you don't need me anymore. You can be your own person. Try and be your own person. And he does the same thing that the Legend did, where he pats him on the shoulder, but whereas the Legend gave him actual advice and actually was honest with him, Soldier Boy is just abandoning him. And at that point, he uses his newfound strength to choke out Soldier Boy and put him back into the vat while saying, I love you, because he's too afraid of being abandoned. He has abandonment issues. It's just, like, you know this guy's emotionally unstable. You turn your back to him. He shows that he's incredibly distressed that you're leaving him. It's just like all these people are brain dead. First time, Soldier Boy is sometimes smart and other times just a moron. But as for replicating Soldier Boy's power, they're using the same tech with radiation and all of this. it's just out there for no reason. And Sister Sage is now, she's just completely off her loony. She has lost the will for anything, and she tells Frenchie, who's trying to convince her to help him, that if I can't read people, what use am I? I'm like, you can't read people. You just assume the worst about people, and then you go from there. You have never had the ability to read people. It's just, they keep trying to make it sound like she's the smartest person in the world when she's just a dumbass. She's just vindictive. She just wants everyone to die because the only person she ever loved died in front of her where she could have saved her. But I don't know, like a lot, I get tired of rehashing this, but Sister Sage is not smart. She is an idiot who thinks she's smart. But she lobotomizes herself because she wants to watch Love Island without having the constant ramblings of the inside of her brain. Eventually, Frenchie does convince her, trying to tell her how much she loves Kimiko, and she throws it back in his face, saying like love just gets you in a way where you cannot actually listen to your actual intellect. It's stupidity on its primest form. Like, at this point, I don't even know where Kimiko and Frenchie stand, because they shoved in an entire worth of the classic sitcom of will they not situation in this entire season. First, they are in love with each other, then they want to break up, then they don't know what they want in their future, then they love each other. It's like JD and Elliot, Donna and Eric, I don't know, whoever the characters of How You Met Your Mother and Friends were. It's always that, and now suddenly they're in love with each other, they want to have kids and start a family. You just said you didn't want that, and now you want that. They flip-flop so much, they might as well be in high school. But somehow this gets through to Sister Sage. Granted, she is lobotomized, so she does have a weaker intellect. She's not as cynical. But he convinces her, and she does go along with it. So yeah, that's how that's going on. As for the entire movie set situation, they have the psychics on board. Starlight and Mother's Milk remain hidden by using weed to cloud their brain, which works for some reason. I guess they're pulling a cabin in the woods situation. Huey and Butcher get captured. They call Homelander. We learn the true story around Joe and Butcher, where they invaded an ISIS facility. He wanted to leave because there were hundreds of soldiers coming down, and eventually Butcher just got his friend killed. But when Simnats is about to kill Huey, he brings up his brother, which causes him to lose focus. Butcher gets out of his restraints somehow. I don't know how he does it. He just gets out and then kills Synapse, and that's how that happens. Starlight and Mother's Milk regain their passion to save people. Well, Mother's Milk reminds Starlight about how saving people is important, despite the fact that in the filler episode he said that he was dead inside and all that mattered was literally just killing all the Supes and killing Homelander. That's all that mattered. But suddenly he pulled a 180 and now he cares about saving people because he nursed a bird back to health when he was a kid, which he never mentioned ever before, and that's how he got the names Mother's Milk. And this convinces Annie, okay, I'm gonna start saving people again. They saved the people who weren't killed during the audition tape, and they send them to more Starlighters. As for Homelander, he does get the information about where their hideout is, where Sister Sage is, because Synapse read their mind and he sent it all to Homelander. He heads to the facility. Frenchie tries to hide Sister Sage and Kimiko in a zinc vent. Homelander is there, and just like Deus Ex Machina, suddenly his powers work, where he can hear people with his Ultra Hearing, which didn't work when they were back in the facility with the plant monster. But now it works because Frenchie lures Homelander to the radiation area. But he also sees the vent. Like, he looks at the vent directly and knows he can't see through that. So obviously Homelander is going to go towards that. But for some reason, he goes to Frenchie. He starts, they just start having like it's literally the A-Train situation where Frenchie's just laughing at him, telling him, you're pathetic. We've already replicated Soldier Boy's power. They're coming for you. And he turns on the radiation field for some reason, kills himself in the process, but only damages Homelander, and he just walks out because the V1 has given him an accelerated abilities, especially healing. But for some reason, he doesn't go to the vent. Like, he forgot about the vent 5 minutes later. He literally was looking at it. The first thing he would do would be likely, what is he trying to distract me from? Like, suddenly Homelander is an idiot. Suddenly he can hear Frenchie doing this on the wall, like lightly tapping. He could hear that, but he can't hear Kimiko whimpering. Make it make sense. But yeah, Frenchie dies, saving them, and then Homelander flies off conveniently. He doesn't wait in the facility to see who comes by. He just flies off, and then literally within, like I say, a minute or two, everyone rushes back in. Somehow Homelander's superhearing doesn't kick in, or he doesn't realize, hey, if Frenchie's here by himself, likely they're all there. And before anyone says that, hey, he was leaving because he believed Frenchie that they replicated Soldier Boy's powers, even if they did that, he could have just waited, listened, and the second they were there, just ran through them. Like, he could have killed every one of them instantly. Soldier Boy doesn't have super speed. And he was able to take down Soldier Boy relatively easily. Like, Soldier Boy couldn't even prime his ability to try and take out Homelander's abilities. Granted, you could have said he didn't want to do that because he's honoring Clara for all of this. But given Soldier Boy is so vindictive, so hostile, I'm almost certain the reason he couldn't prime his ability was because Homelander had him in a headlock. He just couldn't use his ability. But here, for some reason, everything just works out in the end. Everyone just survives, and this is the penultimate episode. And if you're wondering what happens to the Deep, just the most nonsensical bullshit you can possibly imagine. I'm not going to even sugarcoat this. He gets kicked out of the 7 because Homelander dissolves the entire organization. There's no reason to have it. Like, the only one who's left in the 7 is the Deep and himself. There's no one left, so he's like, why do I even have this? I'm literally God. So he dissolves it. The Deep is like, I gave you everything, and he just lets him go. Like, that's actually the most merciful that Homelander's ever been. He just says, just go. He's still part of Vought, but he's basically a nobody. Without the 7, he has nothing. And the sea creatures have entirely abandoned him. For some reason, every sea creature in the entire biosphere has decided, if you ever come into the ocean because of what happened with the pipeline, we will murder you. I'm like, wait, what? You're telling me, doesn't he have full control of all the creatures? So you're telling me he just talks to them and they just do what he says? So they're not literally under his control. They all have free will, but they just do whatever he says? This is what I'm talking about. They're wishy-washy with the power. So now he can't control creatures, and they all said if he ever comes into an oceanic body of water, it doesn't matter if the ocean, the puddle, or river, all the creatures will just emerge onto him and kill him. I'm like, you're telling me every predator, every prey animal in the entire world has decided, hey, we're all going to kill the Deep. Yeah, sure, whatever. And then there's a guy drowning. The Deep can't go into the water because he's afraid of his own life, and he just saunters off because he can't save the person. The person drowns, and he just walks away while everyone is filming him. He's trying to get back into something he can do, but literally they said, wow, water, you have nothing. But yeah, that's this episode. Like, we all know what's going to happen at the end of this season. Like, Kimiko has the power, no doubt about it. She's going to kill Homelander or destroy his powers, and either Soldier Boy or A-Train's entire prophecy that without the powers you're nothing is going to come true, or they're going to fry the V out of him and then kill him while he's vulnerable. Because Homelander, you have to remember, is naturally born with these abilities. As far as I can tell, Soldier Boy can only take away powers that people were given through the V injection. So I'm not sure if him being naturally born will play a factor into this. But that's what's going to happen. They're going to have the same battle like in the finale of the comic book, where he's going to probably get all the supes who are on his side to take over America, because that's what's happening right now. He's basically taking over. Kimiko's going to come in, use the Soldier Boy power to burn his abilities, and that's what's going to happen. As for who's going to kill him, I'm certain it's probably going to be Billy or Kimiko. Either one of them is going to kill him, or he's just going to be without powers, without nothing, and just going to let him live in squalor, or everyone else is going to kill him. But it's already predictable what's going to happen. Ashley's probably going to be like, I'm done with this, and decide, hey, we have to declare Homelander an enemy. She's likely going to die, I think, once she does that. But the way I see this episode, it's the most low 6 I can possibly imagine. They have some good elements. The only thing that I really like about this episode is the fact they at least push the story forward. They have to. This is the penultimate episode. But everything is so predictable. Everything is so Deus Ex Machina. They just conveniently have to put stuff into the story, because they've written themselves so much into a corner that if they don't have certain things, like the fact that Homelander suddenly has ultra hearing but can't hear into a vent, suddenly forgets about the vent and just flies off like nothing has happened. The fact that Kimiko can suddenly get Soldier Boy's powers by an exact tune-in of radiation based on Sister Sage's formula and Frenchie. Frenchie convinces Sister Sage at this point to give this a shot. It's just like so many things that they literally just have to say, we have to just push this out. It's not as bad as Game of Thrones, but it's definitely, it's not good. Like, the final episode is make it or break it, but at this point, I'm tuned out. Like I said, I don't even remember why they were trying to kidnap Allfather at this point, because I just think they were doing it because they had no other options. But tell me what you think in the comments below if you watched this episode. As for the finale, I'm going to come in with the most low expectations I could possibly imagine, because this so far has not been a good final season. They had some high points at the beginning, then they had the filler, and now they're literally just trying to rush through everything. But that's it from me. Goodbye.